Hi there, how you all doing? Yeah, I know it's been quite a while, but I've moved house. Well, I'm living in a different place. You've probably noticed the surroundings have changed. I'm now living with some very good friends of mine that I've known for 20 plus years, and lovely people. I love them to bits. In a previous video entitled "Come Out of Her, My People," I looked at a misconception within or amongst believers, Christian believers, that was that one 1700 years in the making. Well, I'm going to address another one today. The number of times I have heard believers, Christians, say to me or refer to themselves as gentile believers. I'm going to suggest that there's no such thing. And I'll explain why. Well, we're going to have a look at Ruth. Now, from the story of Ruth, you may remember that Naomi, who was an Israelite, had been living in Moab, and her two sons had married Moabite women, one of them being Ruth. Now, when Naomi's husband died, and then her two sons died, she decided there was nothing left for her back in Moab, and she decided that she would go back to her own people in Israel. And she urged her daughters-in-law to go back to their own people and find other husbands from amongst them. Now, the one daughter-in-law, Orpah, she kissed Naomi and went back to her own people. Ruth, different response. Let's read this. Where's my glasses? Here they are. Ruth chapter 1 and verse 15. And she, Naomi, said to Ruth, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her mighty ones," that's her gods. "Go back, follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you, or to go back from following after you. For wherever you go, I go, and wherever you stop over, I stop over." And I'm going to stop there in the middle of that verse for a very good reason. Because in Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 3, it says this: "An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter the assembly of Yahweh. Even a 10th generation of them shall never enter the assembly of Yahweh." That means that Ruth, being a Moabite, was forever excluded from the nation of Israel, from the assembly of God's people. I'm now going to read you the part of that verse in Ruth that I missed, I didn't finish. I'll read the verse that I didn't finish. But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to go back from following after you. For wherever you go, I go, and wherever you stop over, I stop over. Your people will be my people, and your Elohim, your God, shall be my God." Now I'm going to suggest that the moment Ruth said that, the moment Ruth made that decision, she ceased to be a Moabite. She ceased to be a Gentile. Let's not forget that Gentile doesn't just mean non-Jewish or non-Israeli, non-Israelite. It does mean that, but more precisely, it comes from the Hebrew word goyim, which means nations, the nations, all the other nations, not from God's chosen nation, his people. I mean, let's face it, Ruth is in the genealogy of Messiah. She became the great-grandmother of King David. Now, what I've just said, I'm going to confirm by reading Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 16. Jeremiah 12:16. And this is the Almighty speaking about the Gentiles, the people from the nations. "And it shall be, if they learn well the ways of my people, to swear by my name, as Yahavah lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, then they shall be established in the midst of my people." So right back then, the Almighty made provision for people from the nations, non-Israelite people, to be joined to the nation of Israel, to become co-citizens in Israel. Now, funnily enough, this is confirmed in the New Testament writings. Firstly, we will go to Galatians chapter 3 and verse 29, which states, "And if you are in Messiah, then you are the seed of Abraham." Literally meaning, we are Abraham's descendants and heirs according to the promise which Yahavah made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who became Israel. It is further confirmed in Ephesians chapter 2, starting at verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Messiah Yeshua unto good works, which Elohim prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Therefore remember that you, once nations or Gentiles in the flesh, who are called the uncircumcision by what is called the circumcision or the Jews, made in the flesh by hands, that at that time you were without Messiah, excluded from the citizenship of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no expectation or hope, and without Elohim or God in the world. If you refer to yourself as a Gentile believer, then scripturally you're not one of God's people. You're saying that you're not one of God's people, because all through the scriptures the Almighty has referred to his people as Israel, the people of Israel. The moment you recognize and accept what Yeshua, Jesus, did on the cross to set us free from the power of sin in our lives, and you determine that you're going to serve the Almighty by following his instructions, his Torah, you cease to be a Gentile. You become a co-citizen of Israel. Okay. You become an Israelite. I'm going to let you think about that. And I'll hope to see you soon. Shalom.